Hello, welcome to episode 5. That is back. He was not in episode 4. I had to record that one late. That one was on my computer, so don't know if the quality's better or anything. For some reason, the settings doesn't want to work on my computer, so that's why it was just pitch black on the last episode. But Dad is back from
Hi.
Tennessee. A rundown will be NASCAR, NFL, NCAA, what it normally is when he's here. The only reason mine was so short the other day was because I was kind of quick firing and WNBA playoffs have begun and they just finished round one.
They have begun.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, you ready to talk some NASCAR?
I am ready.
And we're missing our third part of the tripod tonight. Brent, my brother, was not able to be with us tonight. So, or at least as far as we know. So, we miss you, B, and we hope to get you back soon. So, let's talk about NASCAR. This past weekend began the round of 12. So, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and maybe the Xfinity Series as well. I didn't get to watch that race, but they were in New Hampshire at what's called the Magic Mile, and it's a very unique track. It's flat. A lot of your racetracks have a little bit of banking in them, and New Hampshire does have some, but it's minimal, certainly by comparison. So you don't have that banking to help keep the car loaded in the corners, so handling can be an issue. Tires can be an issue. And I was actually just watching the race, and the race was incredible. The race was phenomenal. I'm talking going 3 and 4 wide into the corners. They were literally from wall to wall. Brad Keselowski hit the inside wall and caused a big chain reaction wreck. They're racing 3 and 4 wide all throughout the field. So a great race there at New Hampshire. Jeremiah, do you know what trophy or what they use for a trophy for the winner at New Hampshire? Do you happen to know that?
A lobster.
A live lobster. So a lobster, or as they say in New Hampshire, a lobster. Lobster.
Real quick, this race was also very dominated by Team Penske. Well, two of their three drivers finished in the top 12, and well over half of the race was led by Team Penske cars.
Yeah, that's a great segue, Jeremiah, into one of the main points that I have for that race. Blaney won, and because of that win, he is automatically advanced to the next round, which will be the round of 8. So he is pretty much sitting on easy street until October the 12th, when they roll into Vegas in the round of 8. So the next couple weeks at Kansas and at the Roval, he pretty much just has to show up. Now, of course, he wants to win. He wants to get stage points. He wants to position himself as high in points as possible for the round of 8. But for all intents and purposes, the pressure is off him. And did you know, Jeremiah? This is Blaney's second win in 5 weeks. If you go all the way back to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona, that was 5 weeks ago. This is his second race in 5 weeks.
Didn't we also say last week with Uncle Brent that Penske is the best team during playoff time?
I think they are. I really think they are. And I'll just go ahead and talk about it. Let me just try to find out down here. Yeah, Penske has a knack for coming to life this time of year. And, Jared, that's exactly what you're talking about. For whatever reason, that team just builds and builds and builds throughout the year. And this is the time of year when they come to life.
That is a line.
They come to life. I wrote this down. Penske has won the last 3. Catch this, Jeremiah. The last 3 NASCAR Cup Series championships. Logano won in 22. Blaney won in 23. And last year, Logano won again. And what do you think, Jeremiah? I think the way Blaney is running right now, I think he is certainly a favorite. Maybe not the favorite, but he's in that upper echelon to be a favorite for this year's Cup title. How are you seeing Blaney as he's kind of rounding into form, shaping into form? How do you feel like Blaney? Let's just talk about Blaney for now. How do you think he's running? What do you think his championship percentages are? Would you say they're good? They're bad?
I'd say they're probably about in the middle. like guys like Chase Briscoe, I kind of see their championship percentage being like probably like the 70s, 80s percentage, and Blaney's maybe being in like the 50 percentage.
Yeah.
Like he's still a guy to look out for. Just I wouldn't say he's like at the threat level that Briscoe is at the moment.
I would agree with that. That's why I say he is a dot, not the. Last week Brent was talking and asked us our championship favorites, and I went with the 19 in Briscoe. He led a lot of laps even this past weekend. I'm not exactly sure.
He led 19 this
Led
week.
19. That's his car number. And where did he finish at this
He
past week?
finished
While you
10th.
look, finished 10th. So top 10. So not just that, but listen how these cars ran. We're talking about Penske, or what they call the yellow brand. The 12 of Blaney, the 22 of Joey Logano, and they have an affiliate team called the Wood Brothers. The Wood Brothers is a historic team, and the Wood Brothers and Penske are affiliates. So Josh Berry drives that 21 Wood Brothers affiliate to Penske, and these cars finished respectively first, fourth, and second. Blaney won, Logano was fourth, and Berry finishing second.
Josh Berry is probably like, of course.
Yeah. As soon as he gets eliminated, and he's like, "Oh, now let's go run." They had the worst luck in the first round. You know how they
DNFs in 3 races.
Yeah, just think about it. Had he just made it. Had he made it into this round, this is how these playoffs work. Had he made it into this round, he was one position away from being into the round of 8. So that's how volatile these playoffs are, and that's what people love about. That's what I love about them. And then there's I don't want to be disrespectful, but we'll call him the other guy. He's like the Bowman of Hendrick, Austin Cindric. He drives a 2 car. He finished 17th. So again, you have all 3 of your essentially teammates, finishing in the top 5, and you finish 17th. He certainly was the outlier. Penske qualified 1 through 3 with Logano on the pole, followed by Blaney, followed by Berry, and Cindric was the outlier, qualifying. Catch this, Jeremiah, qualifying 22nd. 22nd. So again, Penske does have a knack for coming to life this time of year. Again, they own the last 3. Catch that, 3 championships. Here, how about this, Jeremiah? I just now thought about this. Since 2020, 2 teams have won the Cup Series championship, and it's not Joe Gibbs. And I still stand by it. Joe Gibbs, they're the Yankees, they're the Dodgers, they're the Celtics, they're the Warriors, all that analogy. But since at least 2020, it's been either Hendrick or Penske. It was Hendrick in 20 and 21, and then Penske ever since.
Yeah, Joe Gibbs' last championship was in 2019 with Kyle Busch, and that crazy year he had with the 18.
Yeah. So that's so interesting that we, that team we constantly think about. Poor Denny Hamlin, he's there almost every year in that championship 4, and just has 50-plus wins and just cannot close the big deal. That is the championship.
Either gets the championship 4 and finishes dead last, or he always gets out in the round of 8. He always makes it past the round of 16 and 12.
He and Mark Martin I think they're the greatest 2 drivers to never win one. If I'm Denny Hamlin and I win one, whether it's this year or the next couple of years, as long as he's I'm done. Like I'm retiring right then, right there on at the post race interview. I'm retiring right there. I'm going out on top. I'm gonna go continue to manage the team that I own in 2311.
Hypothetically, if Denny Hamlin does win and retire, who do you see going into that 11 car?
Corey Heim.
Yeah,
Corey Heim. I mean, he's groomed for it. He remember he ran last week at Bristol. I think it's his first race ever at Bristol, and what he finished top 10. Finished 6, almost
2311 car.
So he's the guy. Toyota knows it. He's that dude. Some may say if Ty Gibbs in the 54, they don't see some significant growth in him. Maybe Corey Heim's in that 54 car really soon.
He's got to win a race soon.
He's got to win a race. But that actually leads me to my second major point is round lap 110 of this race this past weekend in New Hampshire. Denny Hamlin and his teammate Ty Gibbs get into it, racing really hard, and Hamlin apparently felt like Here I am running for a championship. Here's C. Bell running for a championship, and the 54 Ty Gibbs is, holding me up when there's, stage points to be gotten and a championship to run after. And they raced hard for a while, and only the two drivers in the car, only the binds in those helmets know what really happened. But Denny gets under the 54 of Ty Gibbs and puts him into the wall and essentially ends the day for the 54. Jeremiah, these are teammates. And had it been just a second difference, they would have collected their third car in C. Bell, because the Gibbs spins right in front of C. Bell. So that's my second major story.
It's going to be an awkward week at that factory.
Whenever they do their driver meeting at JGR, that I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. Where they do it, today or where they do it tomorrow. But I think it was you that was telling me, because we were talking before, like, what do you do if you're Joe Gibbs? And Joe Gibbs, with that coaching pedigree and winning pedigree in the NFL, and certainly with NASCAR and this team that he owns, Toyota's preeminent and dominant team. I think he's basically said, boys, you guys work it out. Your guys, you're both men, so work it out. But you did hear a little bit of that from Denny, last name being Gibbs. On the radio, Denny said something to the effect of, are they even going to go talk to that guy? Do they even talk to that guy, talking about Gibbs? So that was interesting to say the least, Jer. And that's the second main story outside of Penske dominating, is this dust up between the teammates at Joe Gibbs. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Ty Gibbs in the 54. The 54 ends up in the wall, and the exchange was an expletive-ridden. That's how I described it. Radio exchange between Hamlin, who's racing for a championship, and his team. And give all the credit in the world to Hamlin's crew chief. He's like, hey, don't worry about it. Focus forward. We've got a race to win. And I can show you on my notes. I literally have the same thing you said, Jeremiah, because the 54 responded, to what happened on the saying on the radio. He said game on. So who knows what that means? But if the 54 and the 11 get to racing together, let's say they get to racing together somewhere around Talladega, or next week at Kansas, or the Roval.
Yeah, I think it might be all blown over by Talladega, probably.
I hope, and it might be blown over in the next couple of weeks. But the old saying is, drivers have a long memory and a short fuse. But again,
That'd be funny though. They're running like 4 wide, and he just
boom. Tire went down. But the 54, so it must have been. Yeah, it must have been an interesting day at the JGR team meetings. They probably didn't go out to lunch together. But here's the press release for what happened, if I can read this. Joe Gibbs Racing teammates Denny Hamlin, this is from Yahoo Sports, and Ty Gibbs battled both on the track and via their team radios on Sunday. Contact between the two drivers that was on track following a tense racing moment resulted in Hamlin sending Gibbs, his number 54 Toyota, into the wall. A flurry of profanities on the scanner and lingering questions on how the flurry of profanities, right? Leaves some lingering questions on how the team moves forward following the round of 12 opener at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The high from JGR's sweep of winning the opening preseason races, I'll learn how to read in a minute. As you know, they swept the first round, did Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. Is a distant memory as tensions boiled over in Stage 2 between the title hopeful Hamlin and Gibbs. Remember, Gibbs is not running for a title, and we talked about in this playoff format, somebody who is not in the playoffs can ruin a playoff driver's day and essentially ruin their chances at a championship. So that's interesting. They were battling for 11th on lap 110. This is a 301-lap race, and about a third of the way into it, the Toyota drivers made contact exiting turn 4 before Hamlin, a 4-time winner this season and championship contender, sent Gibbs spinning into the turn 1 wall. The incident came after several laps of tight racing between the two and fellow Gibbs driver Christopher Bell, as Hamlin and Bell were attempting to pass Gibbs for position with what appeared to be quicker cars. So make sense of this. What do you think? What do you think Ty Gibbs is supposed to do there? Anything? What do you think he's supposed to do? What is his responsibility, if anything, in that moment, Jared?
I mean, I'd probably get out of the way. It's clear they have the faster car. You're holding them up. They have title hope. I'd just probably let him through and then just continue to race for myself and try to get higher in the standings. Try to get as high as I can and get as much position as I can while trying to hopefully help out my teammate.
Yeah, I agree. And Steve Letarte on the broadcast, he said, if this is racing in the top 5, or if this is racing like come to the end of the race, he said, yeah, race like that. But on that 110, whereas you just said your teammates are quicker than you in the playoffs, both, let's just face it, both Seabell and Hamlin are title contenders, heavy
That's
heavy
7
hitters.
wins this season right there between those two drivers.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's interesting. Maybe 8 wins. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, big mess. So we'll see what goes on moving forward. But it was great drama to watch for sure. I got 3 more points, Jared, if that's okay. My driver, Chase Elliott, he has got to start qualifying better. I don't know what his problem is, but he qualified 27th out of how many cars there? Out of 36 cars, he qualified 27th. Jared, for those who may not be real familiar with NASCAR, what is the importance of qualifying up front? NASCAR fans may say that's obvious, but we want to make sure we never leave anybody, assuming they know something else. What is the importance of qualifying up front?
Well, you can fight for stage points right away, obviously. You can probably put a little bit less pressure on the car while trying to get up there because you qualified 27th. There's 17 cars between you and a stage point at the end of that stage. So you have to get past these 17 cars, get in the top 10, and by the time you're in this top 10, your tires might be more worn out. You might have burned more fuel than those guys in the top 10. So, and with you being in the playoffs right now, Chase Elliott, he's right now doing ballet around the cutoff line. He's below it, then he's back up above it. That's what he did in this race. He was bouncing back and forth, but with this 5th place finish, he was able to finish above the top 10. And with him being above that top 10, he was able to move on. But like let's say there was a big crash at around the maybe 17th place spot, and he gets caught up in that, and his day's done. That could potentially eliminate you from the playoff.
Yeah, and you said something too. You think about the farther you get back in the field, the more dirty and turbulent the air gets, right? You've got the cars in front of you, you've got the wake of the air, you've got tire rubber, you've got all kinds of stuff. And like I mentioned, you can get in trouble back there, so far back in the back. Another thing is if you're on a short track, like like New Hampshire is, you run the risk of going a lap down. Like if you get a long green flag run and it's hard to pass, and you're already running 27th out of 36, and that leader is just cutting people off. He's got clean air. He's sailing. You could be a lap down before you know it. So that's another issue. And here's another issue that nobody's really talked about. Chase mentioned it, but the better you qualify, the higher pit stall selection you get. So that means out of all the pit stalls on the pit road there, obviously you want the first one because you come in, you make your stop, and you're out, and you can get off pit road first. There's nobody in front of you, and it's a quick exit. That means Chase was 27th to pick his pit stall. So he had to pick what was left. And he gave his crew an attaboy because the pit selection they had was terrible and how great his team managed getting on to pit road without speeding, getting their stop done in quick time, quick order, and then having to exit where they did. But he's got to start qualifying better. He has no playoff points to speak of to go forward, and that is a necessity this late in the deal. But he finished 5th, right? He did gather 4 stage points this week, but he's got to do better qualifying. I don't know the answer to that, but he's got to do better qualifying. What would you do? You got 3 teammates who are having better qualifying efforts than you in Bowman, Byron, and Larson. If you're his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, what kind of steps? What do you think you can do to maybe try to qualify better?
See how Chase feels about the car. Get him there in practice, see how he feels at the end, see how he feels going into qualifying. see what adjustments you might need to make, see what pit guys might not be as confident in their moves or or stuff like that. Because I don't know Chase's area as well as you do, but I would definitely be talking. But like, if I was his crew chief, I'd be talking a lot with Chase about how is there something we can do, make the car better, make it make the car tighter, make the car looser. What do we need to do? Is there something in practice that didn't feel right? Is there a way we can get you from qualifying in this 20th to 28th to back into like maybe like 15th or like 12th?
Yeah, I'm also knocking on my other crew chief's door saying, "What? Give me something. Give me something. Let's give it a shot." So we'll close with this. Next week is off to Kansas. I think Kansas is the best mile and a half track on the schedule. Did you
Look
know?
out for Larson.
Look out for Larson. Look out for your boy Bubba. He's very, very, very good.
He could really use this break.
At Kansas. Did you know Kansas is home to the closest finish in NASCAR history? NASCAR history. Larson edged out Chris Buescher by 1/1000th. That's 0.001 seconds at the 2024 Advent Health 400 at Kansas Motor Speedway. Imagine all that racing, all those laps, all those miles, and it comes down to 1/1000th of a second. So it's Kansas, and it's off to the Roval. We talked about the Roval in Charlotte. It's half oval, half road course.
It's gonna be Chase's spot.
Chase is good there. He's very, very good at the Roval. Very good on road courses. So if he needs it, that's kind of like his mulligan, right? He can go get that one. So standings in order, okay? Standings in order are Blaney's advanced. No matter what happens, he's in the round of 8, followed by William Byron out of the Hendrick stable, Kyle Larson also out of the Hendrick stable, C. Bell out of Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin out of Joe Gibbs Racing. Look at those first 5. Blaney, Byron, Larson, Bell, Hamlin. That is stacked, Penske, Hendrick, JGR. Then Logano, then Elliott, and Briscoe is above the cut. 4 below the cut right now are Ross Chastain from Trackhouse, Austin Cindric from Penske, Tyler Reddick from 2311, and Bubba Wallace. 2311 bringing up the rear in 11th and 12th. Again, after the Roval, 4 of those drivers, whichever 4 have the least amount of points, are going home. They're done. And I say going home by their championship aspirations. They're done. They still get the race, but their championship aspirations are done. So that's it. I'm gonna finish watching the race. I got most of it watched, but I was able to listen to it, and just a great race. Speaking of lines, let's go to the NFL. Jer, let's talk a little shop with the National Football League. This is your area.
Okay.
I've talked too much, so let's talk NFL, man. Surprises. What's going on in the NFL?
Crazy week 3. We had 3 blocked field goals, all within a minute of each other. The Eagles blocked the Rams field goal to avoid that upset,
and Big Boy took it back.
He
dreamed of that moment forever, didn't he?
The other.
Sorry, I messed up your train of thought.
No, I know the
Eagles.
I think it was the Buccaneers and Jets game. But and then the Packers lost to the Browns. So Thursday Night Football, I talked about that last week, the Bills and Dolphins game. So yeah, the Browns, they blocked the Packers field goal to win that game. And then the Packers get upset. What's funny is just before that game started, left tackle, I can't think of his name, Rashid something, I believe. Anyways, the Packers starting left tackle said he thinks they can go undefeated. And then they lost 13-10.
Yeah, Coach was not happy about that. That was in the headlines for ESPN. Is it LaFleur? Not real happy with that. I didn't get to watch this game. I was flying back from Chattanooga, Tennessee. But is it true? I saw where the Packers were leading like 10-0 way late in the fourth, and somehow, some way, let this thing get away.
Going into the fourth quarter, the score was 10-0, and then the Browns scored all of their points in that fourth quarter.
Yeah. scored 13 points in the fourth quarter.
What's crazy is Joe Flacco didn't throw a single touchdown. Their only touchdown, it looks like, was from Christian Jukins with a touchdown.
Yeah, this game on paper looks ugly. Cleveland passing 125 yards. Flacco with a passer rating of 55.5. Cleveland rushing 96 yards, with Judkins having 94. So again, Cleveland through the air 125, on the ground 96. Love through the air 149, and then Green Bay on the ground 81. 81. So again, one interception for Love, one interception for Flacco. So those cancel out. The Broncos. What's wrong with where are we going? Green Bay. Jacobs did have a fumble, but did not lose it. No fumbles for Cleveland, and Cleveland kicking. Well, there's a difference right there. McManus for Green Bay, 1 for 2, and I'm not going to try to say his last name, but the kicker Smith, SZMYT for Cleveland, 2 for 2, 3-point game. It's crazy how close these things go, isn't it, Jer?
Mm-hmm. And then my Titans unfortunately lose again to the Colts.
Yeah.
Did you see the final score of the Vikings-Bengals game?
I did. I have that as Vikings in a battle of the backup QBs. The Vikings beat the Bengals 48-10, and what was Wentz for the Vikings and Browning for the Bengals. Yeah, with Wentz you put up 48. That's pretty good. Wentz is not a bad guy to have backing up. JJ, is he's what is his thing? Is it ankle? What is this thing?
Ankle is out for the next, I think he's gone next week and should be back in week 5.
That's right. But Jerry, again, that's my number one surprise is the Browns over the Packers in Cleveland after leading 10-0 late in the fourth. And then I think you stole my notes because my second thing is battle, and the Vikings in the battle of the backup QBs beat the Bengals 48-10 and Wentz versus Browning. And then I do want to go back to Thursday if I can. I am not into moral victories. Everybody gets a participation trophy. Attaboy for showing up. But I do think it deserves to be mentioned. The Dolphins put up a fight. They battled. And we talked about this last week with the way that I just went blank on the receiver. Help me. The receiver for the Dolphins helped me with the way he had kind of been, fussing and all those things. Tyreek Hill. I just went blank. Excuse me, folks. But we talked about how, is that toxic with Tyreek's, his attitude and language and body language and all those things. Like, is that, toxic? Could they lose the team? Whatever. They went up to Buffalo and again, 31-21, played very well. Again, I'm not in the moral victories or things like that, but I do think they deserve some credit for the way they put up a fight. What was your thought about the Dolphins in that game? They could have phoned it in going to Buffalo, but I think some credit's due there. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, I think they're still trying to fight and claw because I know a lot of people are thinking that Mike McDaniel's gone at some point this year, and a lot of people thought this was the game that was going to kick him out. But yeah, they still put up a good fight. Tua still had 146 yards. Achane still ran the ball. Tyreek and Waddle both had a receiving touchdown. So yeah, they still put up a good fight. But of course, when you go to Highmark Stadium, it's very unlikely that you're going to come back with a victory.
Yeah, and I'm going to state the obvious here. I mean, the Bills are good; they're very, very good. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on. I'm trying to see. The Dolphins have the Jets coming in next week, so that could be the battle for the basement, right? For that particular the division, the battle for last. I want to, if I can, Jerry, I want to go to another close game. The Jets Bucks, 27-29. Bucks are 3-0. Jets are 0-3. But as I was just kind of looking through, that game kind of shocked me. a little bit. I think you said that game came down to a field goal. Is that
A
correct?
blocked field goal. I think Tampa Bay blocked it, I believe.
Okay.
There's 3 blocked field goals all within a
the
minute
Jets
of
were
each
going
other.
in there to potentially win it, and there's a block going down to kicking in this game. Man, Chase McLaughlin, if you had him on fantasy, you probably did very well. 5 of 6. Longest was 55. He scored 17 points. And then Nick Folk for New York, 2 of 2, longest of 42. So that's pretty interesting. That so many of those points came from kicking. Here's something, Jeremiah. Look at this. The Jets scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. So going into that, it was let's do the math here, 23-6 going into the fourth quarter. So give the Jets some credit too for that. They could have phoned it in, but man, made it extremely close. Jerry, another one I have here is the Panthers shut out the Falcons.
If Pastor West watches this, he's going to be very excited.
Again, 30-0. Is a Panthers home opener. The Falcons just came off that win against the Vikings.
Penix had 2 interceptions.
172 yards, 2 picks. So 30-0. That's a beatdown right there. In a division that we think Tampa Bay is going to run away and hide. Again, Jared, just stop me. These are some of the surprises that I saw. You're the NFL expert. Jaguars beat the Texans, which drops the Texans to 0-3. That's
CJ Stroud's going through right now.
That's a little surprising. We talked about the Texans perhaps being the favorite. But that division, as of now, I know, folks, we're only 3 weeks in. I'm about to start week 4. I know that. But can I tell you something? The Colts are undefeated, right? They're leading that division after the whipping they put on your Tennessee Titans. So, again, 17-10, watch out for those Jaguars. They're sneaky. They've got weapons. They've got a great offensive coach. Trevor Lawrence throwing for 222. Nico Collins with 104 yards receiving. So, again, the surprise team of the AFC South and perhaps the NFL are the 3-0 Colts. What do you think about the Colts, man?
Daniel Jones has been balling out.
Are they going to come back to earth? Do you think there's something to him? What do you think?
I don't know. Daniel Jones has been balling out. He's been playing extremely well. Jonathan Taylor's a solid running back. Michael Pittman's a solid receiver. They have a solid defense. Indiana is just a solid team all around, it's looking like. I don't know if Daniel Jones is just a perfect fit for that team or what is going on, or if Daniel Jones is really this good and the Giants O-line made him look that bad. But Daniel Jones has been going insane this year.
Yeah, the Colts get a test this week. They're going to LA to play a very, very, very good Rams team.
They just got done playing a practice squad. So.
Yeah. Are you talking about your Titans? Bless their heart. They're going to win Super Bowl in the next 10 years. So, Jared, what do you think? What are some of your takeaways from the NFL? Your Chargers won a close one over the Broncos.
Another injury for the 49ers. Joey Bosa tore his ACL.
Done
for the year.
Done for
and
the
same
year.
thing for the Chargers. Najee Harris, he just, man, that dude's been on an attack the past few months.
Poor guy.
Tore his ACL as well. Watched it earlier tonight. That was disgusting. Just his entire leg pops.
Yeah. His might have been an Achilles.
Maybe. It was Achilles.
Okay. So Najee Harris with an Achilles. Yeah, he just collapsed. That was hard to watch. And then what happened to Lamb?
Lamb, he also has an ankle injury. His is he's out for the next 2 weeks, I believe. But I think that's gonna hurt Dallas a little bit. You don't have CeeDee Lamb, who's your outside of Dak, probably your offensive leader, and your number one options right now is George Pickens, who isn't the best, doesn't have the best self-control. So I don't know how that's gonna feel. Another one I'll throw your attention to is Chiefs Giants.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs that kingdom is falling apart before our eyes right now. Travis Kelce is always arguing with Andy Reid or something. Andy Reid's flying back now. Patrick Mahomes is trying to keep that team all together, but Patrick Mahomes has not been playing well either. That entire team just is not playing well. It's good to see that the Chiefs are 1-2, and I hope that dynasty's falling apart because it's not looking too good for the Chiefs kingdom.
nobody stays on top forever. Father Time is undefeated, and maybe that's what's happening to the Chiefs. We'll give them credit. The past decade, they have been that team. They've been those dudes. But yeah, 1-2, and again, we don't want to read too much into that win. God bless them, but it's the Giants. About the Cowboys, let me back up a little bit. They lost 31-14 to the Bears. What's up with them Dallas Cowboys? What do you see that's going on? And now they're without Lamb for, I read anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. They're without that dude. So, what do you think's going on with them?
Well, I'm right now looking at Dallas. Dak Prescott is starting to look like playoff P. Starting to look like playoff Dak Prescott. He's starting to throw more interceptions. He had 2 interceptions. It got to the point where they had to throw Joe Milton, Tennessee legend, out there. And of course, like I said, their number one receiver now is George Pickens after CeeDee Lamb got hurt. Chicago, though, had a really amazing game. If you had Caleb Williams in fantasy, he went off 298 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Only 9 incompletions.
Yeah. And then DeAndre Swift with 33 yards rushing. It's not the best rushing, but throwing the ball was great for Chicago. What I did notice, I've watched a few clips here and there. It looks like the Cowboys' defense has just fell apart overall. Trayvon Diggs is falling apart with. He just hasn't played well. It seems like losing their voice, Micah Parsons, is not what that team needed, especially now, and the pressure of being a Cowboy. So, just the defense looks like it's falling apart for Dallas.
Jared, they've given up at least 24 in every game. They gave up 24 in a loss to the Eagles at Philly. In a win, they gave up 37 to the Giants.
They tried to lose.
And again, giving up 31 to the Bears at Chicago. So I think, Jeremiah, to your point, the scores and the scoreboard are showing that there's a definite defense issue, and they go out and get an extremely veteran old guy, let's call him that, Jadeveon Clowney. He's no Micah Parsons, so we'll see.
Maybe like 13 years ago in college, he was a Micah Parsons.
Man, I remember watching the game where I'm a Michigan football fan, and I thought that Michigan running back died. That
his helmet went back
just
8 yards.
Destroyed that dude. I still hurt watching that.
Did you see the stupid call that the refs had in that though?
Yeah.
So Michigan should not have had that first down.
Hey, excuse you.
It's true. There was a solid 3 inches between the ball and the first down marker.
Excuse you. How dare you?
I guess the ref had parlay.
How dare you, parlay? But yeah, again, if you're watching this and you have any thoughts on NFL favorites or games that surprised you, put that in the comment section below. Just we'll make sure the comments are appropriate, and we'll answer some of those or give you our thoughts on them, or we want to hear your thoughts. But let's just go on this quick rundown. Browns over the Packers, 13-10. Going back to Thursday, let's back up one more. Bills over the Dolphins, 31-21. Colts over the Pee Wee Texans, 41-20, Titans. Colts over the Pee Wee Titans, 41-20. Vikings over the Bengals, 48-10. Steelers over the Patriots, 21-14. Eagles over Rams, very close game. Eagles had to score 12 in the fourth quarter, so Eagles came back, right? Eagles win 33-26. Bucks by 2 over the Jets. Commanders big over the Raiders, 41-24. Let me look here.
I just saw this. I'm scrolling through the news for the
Marcus
NFL.
Mariota.
Yeah, former Titan.
Played well. Got him a dub. Big on the ground. Look at Washington rushing 201 yards on the ground compared to Vegas's 93. And then Vegas 261 through the air. Washington 199 through the air. Geno threw three touchdowns, no picks. Mariota threw 1 touchdown, no picks.
I just saw this. I'm scrolling through the news for the NFL here on ESPN. Kevin O'Connell declines to address whether McCarthy will start over Wentz once healthy.
I was going to ask you in a moment, but man, at what points does McCarthy does the Vikings have a choice to make? You know, I don't know. You've got so much invested in JJ, so I don't know. That is going to be interesting to say the least. I definitely think the better Wentz plays, the shorter McCarthy's leash does get. Um, so again, Panthers over the Falcons, 30-0. So the Falcons scored as many points as you and I did, right? Again, Chargers by 3 over the Broncos. Those poor Saints. Seahawks 44, Saints 13. Watch those sneaky Seattle Seahawks, right? Bears over Cowboys. How about this one? I'm still high on the Cardinals. Niners 16-15.
They probably could have won that game too if Marvin Harrison knew how to catch a football.
Well, he's from Ohio State, so it's not his fault. And then again, Chiefs over a terrible Giants team, 22-9. So, again, Monday Night Football is happening right now, happening as we speak.
They just went at halftime. I think they're tied.
Halftime knotted up, 14-14. Goff is having a field day, 14 of 17, 135 yards. Derrick Henry, 41 yards. Leading receiver for Detroit is Williams with 2 receptions and 43 yards. And what some might say, and I don't think it's too far of a stretch, this could be a potential Super Bowl preview. Jared, is that saying too much, or is that a possibility?
I don't think it's as much of a possibility as we thought it was a couple weeks ago. By what I'm seeing by the Ravens right now, they're still a good team. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if they're a Super Bowl. I don't know. I think you get what I'm trying to say. I don't think they're can make it to the Super Bowl as of right now with how they're playing.
Yeah. So you think right now, would you consider them a disappointment at this point?
It's still early. We're only in week 3, but I think if they're still looking like this the next few weeks, might be time to call them a little bit of a disappointment. Because I just thought this team could do better with everything they've done in the offseason.
I hear what you're saying, but let me play devil's advocate. Their schedule to begin with, 2 out of 3 for sure, is brutal. You open at Buffalo, lose by 1. Then you play the Browns. You do what you're supposed to do. You win 41-17. And then you have to play the Lions. Does schedule have anything to do with it, or are you seeing things that make you a little bit apprehensive as to, their championship pedigree for this year?
I'm seeing things that I just think they might be a little bit rough on right now.
Okay, fair enough. Again, do you want to look at next week's schedule? You want to wait till Thursday to do that?
Wait till Thursday.
You want to do power rankings on Thursday as well?
Yeah.
Okay. When I looked earlier, power rankings had not been updated.
They normally drop them on Tuesday.
Okay, that makes sense because there's a game going on. So those still got to be updated. Jeremiah, what are your closing, kind of concluding thoughts on the NFL? What do people need to know? What do they need to look at?
Well, right now, I follow a. I'm gonna go back here on the tie-ins, but I right now follow a tie-ins page on Instagram. People are saying that they're thinking that Brian Callahan might not be the coach for Tennessee for long. After the game the other day, fans were chanting "Fire Callahan" or "Fire Brian" or something like that. So I think Brian Callahan might not be there long, but I think Brian Callahan still has to get things figured out. I'm sure it's not easy with that O-line either.
Yeah, he's 3 games in, and let's just be honest, how much talent does he really have to work with? He's got a rookie quarterback, so I just think you're not expected to do anything this year, so just give him a shot.
Probably give him till about week 8 and see how we're doing by that time.
Give him a shot,
extra 5 weeks to your time.
All right. Jerry, any other thoughts you have on the NFL? Where are we going next?
NCAA football, and to start off,
God's sport.
We owe Indiana a really big apology.
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
We're so sorry.
I guess Fernando Mendoza saw what we said and said, let's prove these guys wrong. But we owe a sincere apology.
We are sorry.
When Uncle Brent gets back on here, we will tell him to give apology to Indiana.
We were Wrong.
Dead wrong.
Could not have been much more wrong. In case you don't know what we're talking about and you live under a rock, last week I was leading the charge. Indiana doesn't play anybody, and they cancel good games, and they're playing FCS, teams and etc. And this is the week when they get their comeuppance. I was hard on them last week. I was hard on them. I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm just getting sick of it. They don't play anybody, and their schedule last year for sure was favorable, and this year's not far off. And I said, this is the week where they come back to earth. They're playing Illinois, with Brett Bielema, and
they just scored 2 touchdowns in every quarter.
They scored 3 in the second quarter, yeah. So at least 2, and they win 63-10. 63-10. And Jared, there's one thing in this game that I want to make sure I talk about: rushing. Okay. Illinois rushing. How many yards do you think they had? Without looking. Illinois, how many rushing yards do you think they had?
Considering they lost by 10 in a college football game, I'm going to say 93.
They had 2. They had 2 rushing yards.
Luke Amateur guy got -27 on 9 carries.
Okay, so they would have had 29, right? Or what? Help me with the math.
They would have had way more than 29.
So they would have had 29 because Fegan had 18, Valentine had 11, and then Luke has -27. So
look at Indiana's rushing.
Yes, that's my point. 300. How much? Read that out loud. So
312.
312 on the ground.
Kobe Martin had 107. Kalon Black had 89. Roman Himby had 65.
3 guys over 60 yards on the ground. 3.
And then look at the receiving too.
Yeah. Passing, to your point, Jer. It's not like they ran the ball. Fernando Mendoza throws for 267. 5 touchdowns.
Shutout second half as well.
5 touchdowns, yeah, and shut out Illinois in the second half. So, basically they could have called the game. They could have called the game after the first quarter, been 14-7. But wow, 5 touchdowns from Mendoza. That, wow. Jeremiah, you put it perfectly. We owe Indiana, and I'm also a Kentucky basketball fan, so I have like this double hatred's a bad word. I don't want to say hatred. This dislike and disdain for Indiana. Yeah, forgive them, but I hope Indiana will forgive us because I was dead wrong on that team. They are good. They're good. So
Texas Tech brought Utah back down to earth.
Brought them back to earth. Several teams kind of came back to earth. Nobody more than Illinois, but for sure. And they.
Did you see what Vanderbilt did to Georgia State?
312-2. Is that good? No, it's not. Yeah, that's
Georgia State.
Yeah. Hey,
21.
Here's another thought I had about football. Miami, really, really good. Really good. That Beck kid, he's been there before though, hadn't he?
No, he was at Georgia last year. Remember, he was the starter for Georgia.
Yeah.
Then he got hurt, and then Gunnar Stockton came in, and he realized, I ain't going to start here next year.
Yeah, let me say.
He said that himself, by the way.
Been there, I mean, like, he's been on a team that's supposed to do something. He's got that pedigree. He's got, he's got that big game, the experience.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck said himself whenever he got that shoulder injury last year in the playoffs or like in the SEC championship last year when Gunnar Stockton came in and steamrolled like he did. I think Carson Beck said, I'm not starting here next year. And good. At the time, he was dating that Cavender girl who was, I think she's still on Miami's girls basketball team. I think they're broken up by now, but that's why a lot of people think he transferred there. But yeah, Carson has been balling out this year.
Yeah, not super great, but did what he had to do, 160 yards. DJ Lagway in Florida, he had 61 yards through the air.
Napier's gone.
Yeah, I think, and again, we'll go over it again, but Florida's schedule this year, I don't know who they made mad in the scheduling department. Wow. Check out this rushing yards disparity. Not as bad as Illinois, Indiana. Florida rushes for 80. Miami, 184. And that counts -7 rushing yards by Beck. So Brent and all of us mentioned, Miami is that, potential semifinal, Final Four, if you will.
And
Miami's a lock for that Final Four, barring injury or something terrible.
Yeah, before the season, I was on the DJ Lagway train. I was believing in him. I thought, yes, I am a Tennessee fan. I know Florida and Tennessee don't like each other, but I was a Lagway fan. I was thinking he was going to do really good. He might bring Florida back into relevancy, and I'm kind of jumping off that train right now.
Yeah, it's not well. And again, let's talk future of these Miami Hurricanes. This Saturday they're at Florida State. How how good is college football when those two teams are good? You think about wide left, wide right, all the battles they had in the '90s and before, and Utah. I think, or you, excuse me, the Hurricanes. I saw the U and thought Utah, but the Miami Hurricanes. I think they're ranked 2 in the country now, and they're going into number 8 Florida State. That is the ABC game. Game day will probably be there, but beyond that, let's say they lose that game. They're the rest of their season home against Louisville, home against Stanford, at SMU, home to Syracuse, home to NC State, at Virginia Tech, and
Oh,
at
that
Pitt.
reminds me, Syracuse. Did you see what they did to Clemson?
I did. Clemson. I didn't even put Clemson on here. What is going on with Dabo and Clemson? Are they 1-3?
Yeah, they are 1-3.
And again, the win is Troy when they were trailing at the half to Troy. So they had to. They're a half away. Hear this, Jer. They're a half a football away from being what 0-4. Trouble for Dabo and trouble for those on the plains there in Clemson. Oklahoma beats Auburn 24-17.
Yeah, I think if Dabo doesn't adapt to the new style of college football, he might be gone. Like, I know it's going to hurt some older Clemson fans to see him. It's going to hurt the program, like, history to see him go. But I think that might be what they have to do. If, no.
Stirring up a little bit of controversy. Oklahoma beats Auburn 24-17, but not without a little controversy. Have you heard about this? According to Yahoo Sports, did you hear about this?
I haven't.
In Saturday's game at Oklahoma, there was 10:50 remaining in the second quarter. And again, this is Yahoo Sports. A pass was thrown to Oklahoma's number 5, don't know his name, resulting in a touchdown. Here's the problem. This receiver, whoever wears number 5 for Oklahoma, participated in the previous play, which was a first down play from the 22-yard line. Here's the deal. After this first down play was completed, this receiver continued towards his team's sideline, but stopped just before reaching the Oklahoma sideline. Now, you may say, what's the big deal? Where's the problem? NCAA football has Rule 9.9-2, Article 2, which is labeled unfair tactics. And under paragraph B, it states this, Jeremiah. No simulated replacements or simulated substitutions may be used to confuse opponents. So they're saying this number 5 acted like he was going off the sideline, acted like he was going to be subbed off, but then stopped short of stepping onto their sideline. There may be no tactic associated with substitutes or the substitution process. You can't use it to confuse your opponent. This includes any hideout tactic or without a substitution. Here's the statement from Yahoo Sports. The officiating crew did not properly interpret the action as a hideout tactic. If properly officiated, the second play should have resulted in a team unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of 15 yards assessed from the previous spot. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, not. If you're Oklahoma, you gotta be more careful next time you do that. Let's say you do that on a game where game day is there, everyone's gonna probably notice it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting for Oklahoma because you lost 17-24 at home. Like that's at home in Norman. So
well, and here's the deal: that play resulted in that player, according to Yahoo Sports, scoring. They threw the ball to him, and he scored a touchdown. So
that player, he also led Oklahoma in receiving. He had 127 yards.
What's his name so we can give him credit? Number 5.
Isaiah Setagna III.
Okay. So again, again, I know. Look, I know there's still 10:50 remaining in the second quarter. A lot of things happen that go down the stretch. So I don't want to take anything away from either one of these teams, but just a little bit of controversy in that game. Again, results in a touchdown, and Oklahoma wins by how many points? 7. How many points a touchdown and field goal or PAT worth? 7. So interesting. However, let me be honest. Oklahoma, they had 9 sacks on Auburn, and Mateer's late touchdown, quote unquote, sunk number 22 Auburn. That's a headline from ESPN. So, any thoughts on that game, Jeremiah?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Just Oklahoma has been doing real good at home, so it makes me wonder when they hit the road, is Oklahoma on upset watch, basically?
I watched this game with our uncle in Cleveland, Tennessee, so there's no way you could have known I said this. I said it will be interesting to see when they go on the road and get challenged. That's such a great
They
point,
beat
son.
Michigan by what?
8 or 9
8 or 9 at home.
At home.
They beat Auburn, who's 22nd ranked at the time,
At
by
home.
7 at home. So that just makes me wonder, what if they were to walk, like, who's their SEC away opponent?
Their only a road game is at Temple. So they played 3. They're very favorable at home this year. Of course, Texas is a neutral game, the Cotton Bowl.
That's going to be a fun one, actually.
That's going to be a great game.
If Texas plays well.
But they've
'cause right
got-
now that team ain't looking like they're top 10 in the country.
They've only played, see here. So they were
Looks like
home
it's only
versus
South
Illinois
Carolina
State.
and Tennessee and
They
Alabama.
were home against Michigan at Temple, home to Auburn. They're home this weekend to Kent State. Neutral site game for Texas. So their first, real road game, let's call it what it is at South Carolina. Then Ole Miss comes to Norman. Here's the big test. Probably early November, at Neyland at Rocky Top, and then they go to Alabama, and then
See, that's my point. You go to Neyland and then Bryant Denny on back-to-back weeks. So, and you're beating these decent teams
right,
at home by 7. So, like, what are they going to do with that environment that's against them? Of course, Neyland is what players have said the loudest place they've ever played in. Neyland being the most chaotic place they've ever played in. Bryant Denny being a very loud team.
Saban Field
at Bryant Denny. Still another very loud stadium. South Carolina, those fans still show up for that team.
If that's a night game, that place, Williams-Brice, is crazy.
It's crazy if it's not.
Crazy at night.
So, like, that's my only thing with Oklahoma. Like, we don't know. Sure, they're ranked, like, 8th right now, I think, in the latest AP. But we don't know how good they really are on the road because they only have 4 road games, 3 that really only matter.
Yeah. We'll learn a lot about them in 2 weeks when they play, Texas, Red River rivalry. I cannot believe I said that right. But, man, look at the last 5 weeks of Oklahoma's schedule. Very much backloaded, if you will. Ole Miss rolls into Norman. Then we talked about this earlier. At Neyland, at
that Mizzou and LSU.
Then at Alabama, Mizzou comes in, and then LSU comes in. LSU currently, as of this, ranked 4. Yeah, it'd be so interesting to see what they can do on the road. I do want to talk about my Michigan Wolverines, and we definitely need to talk about your Tennessee Vols.
I'm glad they humbled Nebraska. I feel like Nebraska, if they went 4-0, we're going to get a little cocky, especially with Dylan Raiola.
They were, and this win was going to set either one of these teams up. Just a good football game. I obviously watched it. Secondary, at least based on this game, let me be fair, has got to get better. Dylan Raiola, 30 of 41, 308 yards. 7.5 yard average, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. It's hard. You can't get. It's rare probably that your QB, throws 308 and loses the game. The difference in this game, without even trying, Bryce Underwood, 105 yards, 12 of 22. Here's the deal: Michigan rushing. Justice Haynes is a monster, over 100 yards rushing in every single game. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Total.
Michigan, 290 yards on the ground. Nebraska, 43. Now, this is Michigan's DNA. The O-line, they get the assist. The D-line, they were after that quarterback. Let's see. 7 sacks.
Bryce Underwood's looking like a solid, like, dual threat quarterback.
He is. And he's doing enough. He's a freshman. He's doing what he has to do. I think with Poggi, I think he's utilizing Underwood in ways that I hope that Sherrone Moore will listen and utilize. You know, he's got legs. The dude's like, was he 6'5" or something like that? 232. I mean, he's a truck running at you. Rushing, Jair. Yes, 7 sacks. Michigan sacked the quarterback 7 times, and Nebraska only had 1. And praise God for our kicker, Dominic Zavada. 3 of 3, scored 12 points, longest of 56. So, yeah, that's a big win. What I loved is after the game, the teams, regardless of how you feel about it, the teams on the field praying together. I mean, I hope, and I know it's easy to say because Michigan did beat Nebraska, but I hope Nebraska's back. I like Matt Rhule. I like what he's doing. Nebraska being that traditional powerhouse.
Feels like college football is also a little better when Nebraska's good.
College football is better when these teams are great, or at least relevant. Congratulations, Michigan. Their ground game did it. Their defense did it. Beat a good team on the road, and now they have an extremely, Michigan that is, favorable schedule until they close the year against Ohio, coming into the Big House. They have to go to USC. Could potentially be a trip there,
that
but that one could be.
That's gonna be loud.
It will be loud, but that's the only potential roadblock I see. Again, anything can happen in this sport. That's why they play the games. But Michigan could roll into the Ohio State game with. I mean, they already got 1 loss, but maybe 1 loss, 2 at the most. As Ohio State rolls in there, the last Saturday in November. Again, but Michigan was beaten badly through the air, 308 to 105. But again, won the ground game, 149 to 65. So Michigan 3-1, halfway to bowl eligible. We have a quarterback. Praise God. We have somebody who can throw a forward pass. So Rocky Top, what did Tennessee do this weekend?
Well, we beat UAB, which I'm really glad about. Of course, Tennessee still ran the 3-headed monster that we have at running back. All 3 of those guys had over 50 yards. 235 yards rushing for Tennessee and 275 receiving for Tennessee. That's what I love about Tennessee. They're good at both receiving and rushing this year. Joey Aguilar with a really good game. Had another interception. And did you see what happened in that game too?
I did not. I did not get to watch this one.
Our kicker, crap. I know I said his name. Max Gilbert kicked the field goal, and a UAB player came over and stepped on his foot.
I did see that. Not live, but I did see
I didn't see it live, but I was like, what are we doing?
Let me ask you this. Last week, I recall over 300 through the air. Granted, you're playing Georgia. But, are you worried? Jalen Kitna was 38 of 51, 364 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Are you worried because UAB threw the ball for 371 yards against that secondary? Are you worried about that secondary? Are there things we don't know about, things we need to consider? Are there injuries? Because, again, last week against Georgia, let me see if I can find it here, get the box score up. You give up 304. Stockton throws for 304, and then this week you give up 371 through there. Jer, are you worried about your Vols secondary?
I'm not. They're still hurt. We still don't have Ricky Gibson or Jamad McCoy. So right now our starters are sophomore Colton Hood and sophomore Boo Carter at defensive back right now. So we have young and inexperienced guys right there at the secondary. So I think it's just injuries right now. I'm still not too worried about it, but I think we do need to start, as the season starts dwindling down and we're going on to play these other teams like Mississippi State later on. I know they have a solid quarterback. Alabama, Kentucky, Vanderbilt especially. We need to get our passing defense under control. Of course, by those games, like Alabama and Vanderbilt, we'll probably have Dramod and Ricky back. but still, because Jamon's arguably best cornerback in the nation. Before the season started, he was the favorite to be winning the cornerback awards. So we still don't have them. So I think it's on injuries right now. But I think that game is definitely showing that we need to crack down on our defense.
Yeah, again, rushing, you stated it perfectly. Tennessee 235 on the ground, UAB 23. One interception, so one turnover. How many fumbles, if any, for? Like, I'm not seeing any here for UAB. So turnovers, kind of a push. Doesn't look like you used your kicker at all because, like you said, that one penalty, which is uncalled for. Stepping on a kicker, that's uncalled for. No place in the game for that. So hopefully that young man can. I get he gets the emotions, but I hope he can learn from that and not make that mistake again. So yeah, Tennessee looking good.
Another loss for South Carolina, by the way. They're 0-2 in SEC
Yeah.
play and 2-2 overall.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for Beamer? Granted, they were away and you lost by 9, but Lenora still had 302, 302, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Again, the one loss it's still a loss, but Sellers was hurt. But again, you are what your record says you are. I don't think you panic yet. I really don't. But I will say, I mean, that they've got a rough stretch coming up. They got Kentucky coming in.
There's a bye week.
There's a bye week, as we would say. But then listen to this: at LSU, home to Oklahoma, home to Bama, at Ole Miss, at A&M. Then you close against Coastal and Clemson. So all that to say, it doesn't get any easier for the South Carolina Gamecocks. But no, I think you have a great up and coming coach in Beamer. I think you don't panic. Sellers was hurt, so let's see what they can. Let's see what they can do. So let's just pump the brakes, Gamecocks fans. Your losses are to a very, very good Vanderbilt team, and that sounds weird to say. And on the road to Missouri. So I don't think you panic yet. You lost to two really, really good teams. But that's what makes college football one of the best. Is I'm one of them. When Michigan flops or loses, maybe like you in Tennessee, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. But no, I think. What do you think about Beamer? Do you think he's okay? What do you think? Panic play?
He's
What do you
fine.
think?
I still like what Beamer does and what culture they have in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Next game, Notre Dame finally got that win in the column.
Got a dub.
Don't know how they're still ranked, but they got another. They finally got that first win against. Well, it was against Purdue, but I saw a weird stat by the Purdue coach, whoever their coach is right now. He is the first Purdue coach to have Purdue start 2-0 since 1960.
Is that bad?
Yeah.
The old ESPN thing. Is that bad? Well, it's not good.
Not good.
Vanderbilt. Vandy's good. With Pavia, man, they're good.
Thank God he's gone after this year.
Yeah, says everybody in the SEC.
Go in there and say you can beat Philadelphia in your first start.
Yeah, he talks a lot. But
you can't do that when you're a Vanderbilt quarterback, man.
But the road for
packing it up.
The road for Vandy after this weekend, gets rough. You got Utah State coming in there. Then you go to Bama. LSU comes to Nashville. Missouri comes to Nashville. You go to Texas. You play a very good Auburn team. You play Kentucky.
Whoever did the schedule hates Vanderbilt.
Who knows
they
what they're
gave
going
them
to
that bye week between Auburn and Tennessee, though.
Yeah, and then you close the year at Neyland. So we're about to learn in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We're about to learn a lot.
Can you imagine if Vanderbilt loses like they did last year? Neyland's going to tear Diego apart for what he said before the season started.
Yeah, Yeah, if you're talking about the Netflix documentary, we're talking about Natties and beating Bama.
It was so hard to watch the Vanderbilt segments in that show, bro. I'm telling you.
I do. If you watch that Netflix, documentary, about the
Any Given Saturday
about SEC, quarterbacks and different things. They do a special on Vanderbilt. The coaches and
the schools they focused on in there was LSU, of course, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. Those are like the three main schools they talked about. A little bit of Tennessee, but not much. A little bit of Alabama. Again, not much. I don't think they really talked about Alabama at all. And then Florida was another team they really focused on.
They spent a whole episode on Florida with that Mintz and Lagway, kind of quarterback situation. But yeah, and I love what that coach is doing there with that culture. He's changing their mindset. We're not just Vanderbilt. We're not the doormat. We're gonna go get players that, people that are overlooked have a chip on their shoulder, and that's what they're doing.
Like he said in the documentary, when Clark Lee got there 2 years ago, his very first team meeting there, half of the team was late to his first team meeting there, and so after that meeting ended, before everyone, like kids were starting to leave, and he told everyone to sit back down, and said, if we're late to another team meeting, we're running a full practice. So of course the teammates starting to get there, and of course when he brought in all those New Mexico guys, they got in there, and then Diego gets up at like 4 a.m. and starts working out.
Yeah. So. Said he found a door that he broke the lock or something on, so he can get in there and work out and hit the gym. Jerry, anything else? You top 25, USC beat Michigan State.
Week 5 rankings.
The little brother. Yeah, we can go to the rankings.
A&M's now 9th.
Yeah, so 2 drop from the rankings, Jerry. Utah is out, Auburn's out, and on the college coaches side, Utah is out, South Carolina is out, and Auburn is out, and that puts TCU in, BYU in.
What a rebuild for Mississippi State. They're now getting votes. Last year they were dead last in the SEC.
They were picked for the basement this year in the SEC, and then teams that crawled in on the coaches poll, I put a little more emphasis on the coaches poll just because it's voted on by coaches, not just media. But USC in, BYU and TCU 3-0. Again, we talked about that program's not been the same since that beatdown they got against Georgia in the national championship a few years ago.
Transfer after that?
Probably. I don't know if they ever played football again because that was awful on the biggest stage that there is. So not a lot of change. Miami's up 2 to number 2, so that dropped Penn State and LSU down 1. Georgia held serve at 5. Oregon held serve at 6. Here's one of the big movers, not the biggest, but Oklahoma's up 4 spots to 7. That dropped Florida State 1. A&M, like you said, up 1 to 9. Texas down 2 to 10th. Here's the biggest mover, no surprise here. Indiana up 8 spots. Texas Tech up 5 spots. That's your top 12. Ole Miss at 13, held steady. Iowa State dropped 2. Tennessee held serve at 15. Georgia Tech, watch that rambling wreck, man. They're up 2 to 16. Alabama dropped 3 spots to 17. Vanderbilt up 2 to 18. Michigan up 2 to 19. Missouri up 3 to 20. USC up 4 to 21. Notre Dame up 2. I don't know how Notre Dame is still ranked, but they are 22. Illinois dropped like a stone. Dropped 14 points, or 14 positions, to 23. Then TCU, BYU are in. So, Jared, are you surprised by anything that you see on the rankings? Who jumped, who stayed the same, who's out, who's in? What are your thoughts on those rankings this week as they just come out?
I like it. They're good still. Of course, not much moving in the top 10 and all that. Just a few shifting up and down. LSU's still in there. Ohio State's been number 1 all year. Miami's been climbing each and every week. But yeah, I don't see.
Here's something that's very interesting to me. I don't have an answer for it, but in the coaches poll, Miami 6, and in the what do they call this poll? USA Today AP Top 25, they're 2. So that's a four position disparity between the coaches poll and the AP Top 25. So the media, AP, they like Miami a lot. Coaches, I guess, still want to see a little more from the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes are going to say a lot this year before it's all said and done. I think they're one of the top 4 contenders to win it all. That's it. Mm-hmm. All right. We did want to mention one thing. I don't know if we can find it. I think we need to, reference what happened in college basketball today with the retirement of Bruce Pearl. So, as a Michigan basketball fan, Kentucky basketball fan, I'm very complicated. as a Kentucky basketball fan, I'm super happy to see him go. But Bruce Pearl is seems to be a great human being. Does that make sense? Real quick, Jared, if I can, Bruce Pearl joins this is ESPN.com as of about 7 hours ago, reported by Jeff Barieslow and Joe Lenardi. Bruce Pearl joins a growing list of high-profile men's basketball head coaches to retire in recent years, announcing his decision to leave Auburn on Monday. Here's the thing that's a little interesting about this, Jeremiah. It's only 42 days before they tip off. So you hope it's something he's just been wrestling with. You pray to God that it's not some kind of health issue or something like that. But that does seem a little abrupt to me. But I want to give this guy all the benefit of the world because I think he's earned it. Pearl says, and I quote, "I've been a part of college basketball for almost 50 years, and the truth is it's time," he said tearfully in the video. He continues, "I told myself when I got to the point where I could not give it my all, or wasn't necessarily 100%, or I couldn't be the relentless competitor that Auburn fans expected of me, it was going to be time." Pearl retires with 694 wins and only 270 losses all time as the head coach of Southern Indiana from 92 to 01, Milwaukee 01 to 05, Tennessee 05 to 11, and Auburn 10 to 2025. At Auburn, his record 232 and 125 makes him the winningest head coach in program history. Took the Tigers to 2 Final Fours in his 11 seasons, including a number 1 seed in the 2025 tournament.
What a final year.
What a final year, yeah. That team last year was older, and maybe he just doesn't want to rebuild because that team last year was older than some NBA teams. His son, Stephen Pearl.
Yeah, didn't they have like 3 guys that were like 25
They
on the
did.
starting lineup?
They were old last year, and that helps you. Stephen Pearl, his son, and an assistant head coach who's been with Auburn since Pearl took the reins in 2014. He will take the reins now as the Tigers look to make another NCAA tournament run. So what we can expect of him, how will his father's legacy be remembered? So that's kind of where everything is right now. How will he be remembered? Auburn was obviously much better under Pearl, 65% winning percentage, 3 regular season SEC titles, 2 tournament titles, 2 Final Four appearances under him. So now the question is, they're turning to his son, Bruce's son, that is, at Auburn. So I just want to say congrats, Coach. I have an immense respect for Bruce Pearl, even as a Kentucky basketball fan. Immense respect for him for the way he does things, even when they win. He's always talking about how great. I just remember at Kentucky Lens, he would always brag about Rupp and how difficult it was to play there and how great the fans were and the job that Calipari was doing there, and now Mark Pope. I wish him all the best. I know you're not necessarily a big college basketball fan necessarily, Jared. Not that you're not one, but any thoughts you want to speak to about Bruce Pearl or wish him all the best or anything like that, my friend? Yeah, he did it well, brother. Anything else?
I'm all good.
All right. You want to tell him thank you and sign off?
Yeah, see you guys Thursday. We will be back hopefully. And in a few weeks, we will take a short pause. There'll be 1 week of no episodes. We'll be taking vacation.
Vacation. Peace.
Bye.